Hi, I'm Tricia, an organic gardener, and I'm here with Billy Goodnick, who is a landscape architect in Santa Barbara, California, and who is a contributing editor to Fine Gardening magazine. And we're here in front of this container, and I'd like to have your opinion about it.
Well, I think it's beautiful. That's why we picked it out. It's a student project from Arizona State University in their design program. And it points out a principle I like to write and teach about in how to create a really strong focal point. A focal point is some place in the garden where you just really want to attract attention and have a little bit of pizzazz. What's happening here works on so many levels. Literally on so many levels. We've got a taller background sort of plant, and then a mid-ground and a foreground. So we have a three-level planting. When you put plants in front of each other, as opposed to lining them up side by side, you see them all at once, so it's got a lot more visual impact. A lot of us are stuck trying to take a long, narrow bed, create something interesting. It doesn't work that way. So what's going on here is we have three very distinct elements, all of which have different characteristics. We've got the fine foliage, bright yellow flowers on this senna. In the mid-ground, very common plant, these are just zonal geraniums, but it's the strong red working against the yellow. Both of these are warm colors, so they have a lot of impact from a distance. And then to break things up from these two sort of shrubby, rounded or cloud-like forms, we have the spiky aspect of this. Stay with me. Agave. I'm an expert in these sorts of things. So this is the sort of thing that's scalable in any garden. This plant could be 10 feet tall in the background, and this is a mid-range plant that's about chest high, and this is some knee-high ground cover. You could probably do the same thing in a vegetable garden by just choosing plants that have three different types of characteristics and grouping them together this way for strong impact.
Super. Can we look at another one? A different container somewhere?
I don't see why not.
Great. Let's go. I like this kind of water reclamation, water harvesting. I'm not sure what you call it, but...
Well, there's a few things going on here. One is that we've got, we were just talking about a focal point at the other area. Water is always a focal point in a garden. If you have moving water, you've got sound, you attract wildlife and birds and all of that. So very animating. In this case, this was designed by Benjamin Goulart from Hayward, Goulart Design. These are artificial rocks, but they work beautifully here. They're very light colored, they're well lit. They even have this sort of outlined horseshoe of the asparagus fern that brings more attention to it. And what's going on here for the show is the water's cascading down, going into a reservoir and being pumped up to the top. But the other thing that they're showing here, all of this patio paving is completely porous. So rather than water running off, going into creeks and going down the gutter, it's going back down into the earth. And in this case, they've simulated a chamber that can hold, I can't remember what it said, something like 30,000 gallons of water that can then be pumped back into the garden. So you get, natural rainfall, you get good quality water, and rather than send it away, it goes back into the garden.
That is so important here in California, and I love that. I love that about it. It's very environmentally correct.
Well, aside from the fact that you just get to be greedy and hold all the water that lands on your property, very often when water leaves the property, it carries stuff with it that gets in the creeks, it carries fertilizers, pesticides, whatever people are using in gardens, hopefully none of that. So there's double duty here. It's just, you're saving some money too.
It's a smart way to go.
It is.
This is the garden I want.
Yeah, I could spend certainly a few hours or have this put in outside my house. It's my favorite. I think it was the judges' favorites too. It's got all kinds of awards. It's by McKenna Design from Los Gatos. And to me, when I work with my own clients, I always start with what do you want to be able to do when you go outside. We fall in love with the plants and the flowers, and we want to see those sorts of things. But it doesn't make sense to me to have a garden that's just about plants. It's a space for people first, and this does it beautifully. It's it's beautifully rendered, but it's also really functional. We're here. We're not sampling the wine, but it's a place where you could spend some time. The shade, this is out of recycled materials or reused materials, rustically done, and
the windows.
Yeah, repurposed windows. And the plantings around here, I don't know how much we're going to catch on the camera, but they're exquisitely done. A lot of complexity where you can sit still and look at it. when you do a front yard, it's like somebody's going to see it at 20 miles an hour. All the details kind of lost, but when you can just sit here and contemplate and see this kind of detail, it's
wonderful.
Garden for me. And if we can get up and look, there's also a reading room over there, literally, that is one of the more clever design elements I've seen in a garden.
Let's meander.
You want to go? Let's wobble over. Well, this is the reading room, complete with outdoor library. I've never seen a concept like this before. The walls are done beautifully.
What is the material?
It looks like a stucco coating over some sort of framing. It might be drywall. Not something you could do long-term outdoors. This would have to be something more like a block wall. But I love the natural sort of finish. It's very earthy and it fits in the garden. And I think we're also looking at some reused woods in here. But you know, very clever design, and it's also got a lot of style to it. Great combination of materials.
So contemporary, yet I don't know. It just seems like so simple and natural.
Yeah, it's masterfully done. And the other thing is using plants structurally to create backdrop, to re-emphasize the lines of the garden. We've just got a solid row of what I think is melaleuca. Rather than, you know, there's areas in the garden where things are kind of busy. I was just talking about the 0 mile an hour type of garden. But here, rather than get fussy and put a lot of different background plants, it's just very uniform. It doesn't take your eye off of what's... Yeah. So, fabulous garden, McKenna design.
Touch of color there.
Oh, one of my favorite plants. That's Western Redbud.
Yes.
Cercis occidentalis. And this is the time of year for them.
They're beautiful this time of year. Billy, you have been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me up.
I really appreciate it. It was wonderful talking with you. So, I mean, if you really want to have a garden that you can just live in, this is it. So enjoy and grow organic for life.
And go to garden shows. You'll come away with great ideas.